Warning: Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. By Thomas J. Aron. The heavy night had created a haunting crypt for the mind. It warped all perceptions, stole away precious freedom, and resurrected old memories long considered dead. Robert Anderson had been on watch. His overtaxed eyes were laden with a gritty residue that his tears could not cleanse. During the night he had begun to die. The darkness had produced 100 forms of fear that had taken root in his soul. The murderer, Edwin Blaine Cromwell, Jr., had been cunning, calculating, and patient. He had not attacked in the dark. He was still out there, waiting. The wounds to Robert's spirit could not be hidden. The bathroom mirror now reflected an aura of decay about him. The cautious morning light had not eased his blinking, nor had it exposed the man who was coming to slaughter him. It had begun with a midnight pounding on his front door. Nothing sounds like a policeman's knock, and his report to Robert had been ominous. Cromwell had escaped from the Pueblo Asylum, 180 miles to the south, and that had been broadcast as a statewide law enforcement bulletin. The clerk at a convenience store only blocks from Robert's home had called in. She had seen the escapee here in Jackson City. Shortly after his escape, Cromwell's personal notes had been discovered. They were a rambling bravado about his exploits and had included a kill list. Robert was on the list, along with Judge Oscar Christensen, District Attorney Bill Hillard, and a psychiatrist at the Pueblo Hospital, Dr. John Monette. The notes embellished Cromwell's pleasure from inflicting pain on others. There were explicit reports of his violent rapes of 2 gay orderlies at Balboa Naval Hospital. He happily explained his ability to attack the second man because the first one refused to report his rape. "If they both had stayed in the closet," he wrote, "I could have enjoyed myself for years." The notes also described the killing of his live-in girlfriend, Mary Jane Heidenreich, the crime that had brought Cromwell together with everyone on his list. Her murder had occurred in their apartment just a half-block from the Jackson City police station. This fact had amused him. The policeman completed his report and took up post from across the street. One cop in one patrol car offered Robert little protection, a token gesture at best. He considered calling his friend Father Tolar, but decided it was too late an hour to bother the priest. He'd just have to trust God and the solitary policeman out front. Judge Christensen was a tough-minded war veteran who had boxed professionally. His independent thinking had created disfavor with the Supreme Court. One of his rebellious orders had read, "The High Court's opinion is much akin to what you find on the bottom of your boots after strolling through a corral." Christensen became annoyed with cops swarming his place. He phoned the chief and threatened contempt of court. That ended it. The judge turned loose his 2 German shepherds and went back to sleep. Most of the protection went to the district attorney. Hillard had reacted like a terrified rabbit, finally blacking out after downing several scotches and a large bottle of NyQuil. Several cops stayed in the DA's house, sleeping in shifts on the living room sofa. Cromwell's killing Hillard would be special. The man had disgusted him. Besides, he wrote, "Anyone can kill a cop, but you make history if you whack a DA." The psychiatrist had fled to Switzerland within an hour of Cromwell's escape. The doctor's secretary left with him. His angry wife remained behind. Cromwell must have enjoyed Monet's divorce court antics and his disgraceful firing from the hospital. The killing of the defense attorney had been of the highest priority. While Robert had waited in the night, he contemplated the killer's motives. Why was Cromwell after him? Had he not saved him from execution? That was crazy. Sort of. He never believed the guy was insane, but he was certain that he was unusually cruel. Maybe he should have been executed. Still standing before the mirror, Robert lit his first cigarette since the nightmare began. After taking a couple of drags, he relaxed. His hands stopped shaking. He then wet his face, stroked on the soap, and began to shave.